Hey, what is going on, you frightened Feebas? This new Crobat from Shrouded Fable might finally give us a solid Crobat deck. Speaking of Shrouded Fable, if y'all looking to pick up any Shrouded Fable product, GameGrid has got you covered over at GameGridSLC.com. Link, of course, will be in the description, and you can use code AzulGG over there as well to get yourself a discount. So go check it out. The new Crobat from Shrouded Fable has the ability. You may use this ability once during your turn. If you played Janine's Secret Technique from your hand during this turn, draw cards until you have 8 in your hand. So a lot of draw power. You do have to play Janine's Secret Technique, which we'll talk about here in just a second. And then it's attack for a dark and a colorless energy. Poison Fang, 120. Your opponent's active is now poisoned. Put 2 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon between turns. And we got a couple damage modifiers in here. We got the Radiant Sneasler, which increases poison damage by 2 more. So now we're looking at 4 damage in between turns. And then we got the Jungle as well, the Perilous Jungle, where you put 2 more damage counters on each poison Pokemon, except for dark Pokemon. So we're looking at 120 plus 6 damage counters in between turns with all of the modifiers, the attack, the Radiant Sneasler, and the Jungle. And on top of that, we are playing that new Binding Mochi tool card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is poison, its attacks do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And we can poison our own Pokemon with the Janine's Secret Technique. Choose up to 2 of your dark Pokemon for each of those. Search your deck for a basic dark energy card attached to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. If you attach an energy to your active Pokemon in this way, that Pokemon is now poisoned, so we can poison our own active Pokemon, and then we can increase the damage we do with it with the Mochi. So theoretically, this Crobat, the new Crobat that's coming out, it's got all the draw power. It's got this deck. We can do 120 plus the 40 from the Mochi. We're looking at 160 plus 20 from the Radiant Sneasler and the base poison from the Crobat itself. We're looking at 220 damage from this Crobat, which is pretty decent. So if we even hit something like a Raging Bolt, it would get KO'd coming back into our turn. But we got a couple other Crobats in here to give us some more options. We got this Crobat from, I don't even remember, what is this from? Paradox Rift. It's got a pretty powerful attack here for cleaning up or even, I guess, initially KOing Pokemon here with the Echoing Madness for 2 colorless energy. Choose item cards or supporter cards during your opponent's next turn. They can't play any of the chosen card from their hand. That's pretty good. That's really, really good, actually. So if we can do a little bit of a 2-hit KO combo with this Crobat into this Crobat, that's pretty cool. And then the final Crobat that we're playing here is the one with the critical bite. It takes 3 colorless energy to attack with this one. Maybe we would want to include some reversal energy. And if we included reversal energy, we could actually also include Luxray as well. The Luxray that says when you're behind on prize cards, you can play it into play from your hand onto your bench. It is a stage 2 Pokemon, but its ability does that. And then for what, 3 colorless energy or like 2 lightning and a colorless, whatever, it works with reversal energy. And then it does 160 damage and 30 damage to yourself, or 180 damage, excuse me. So that could be a cool attacker to include if we went the reversal route. And that's definitely something we could do. And this one's attack with the critical bite. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. If one of your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, take 2 more prize cards. So we could go for a little bit of 2-hit KO action, theoretically, with the new Crobat into the critical bite Crobat, or if we can go for a 2-hit KO and limit their supporters and or item cards, that would also be pretty powerful as well. So yeah, I got a ton of options with the Crobats. We got the energy acceleration with the Janine. I do have 1 dark patch in this build currently for a little bit more energy acceleration, so we don't need to play Janine on the turn, or it can help us get to that 3 energy on the critical bite Crobat if we don't have energy built up somewhere else in play. One thing that's really cool about this whole Crobat line, there's not a new Zubat or a new Golbat, but these older Zubat and Golbat both have free retreat cost, which means every piece of the Crobat line can be found with Feather Ball, which is just so cool and so sick. Not having to play Ultra Ball is great. Feather Ball can not only find our whole Crobat line, but we also have a 202 Pidgeot EX line in here for draw support, for draw power. It can also find the Pidgeot EX. Unfortunately, can't find the Pidgey, but we also have 4 Buddy Poffin in here. For the support Pokemon, I've included a Tatsugiri because we have so many free retreaters in the Zubats. Turn 1 retreat to Tatsugiri. Pretty reasonable to pull off, and hard retreating with the Dark Energy wouldn't be too difficult if we open the Pidgey or the Radiant Sneasler. I actually wasn't sure for a second. I was like, wait, does Radiant Sneasler have 1 or 2 retreat costs? It does have the 1. Can definitely hard retreat into that as well. So Tatsugiri, a little bit of extra draw support, or just support in general. I guess not really draw support, but utility support. Support Pokemon, it's nice to have around, right? It's nice to be able to push up Tatsugiri, get your supporter for the turn, so you don't have to quick search for it instead. And we do play a Rescue board in here as well, so we can put that on our Tatsugiri. And for the draw engine in the deck, we have Janine, but Janine only really gets going once the Crobat is set up. So we also play 4 Arven in here as well, and that's like our main setup card, supporter in the deck. And also, another thing that can be found with Featherball is Cleffa. So we have a ton of outs to Cleffa in the deck. 4 Featherball, 4 Buddy Poffin. Fighting Cleffa should be no problem on turn 1. So consistency-wise, I'm loving this engine that this deck can kind of play around. The Featherball, Buddy Poffin, just the utility of these cards and what they can find is just kind of crazy. The only thing that we would struggle to find, honestly, is the Radiant Sneasler. But I did include a couple Nest Balls for that. And I have a Heavy Ball in here as well, because how quickly our Crobats will get KO'd. I think it's pretty important that we probably don't prize any Zubat, or if we do prize the Zubat, we can easily find them with Heavy Ball to kind of flood the board with Zubats, get those into Golbats and Crobats. Of course, we still have 4 Rare Candy in here to do that. 1 Boss's Orders, 1 Counter Catcher, but honestly, I think from the option of attacks that we have, we probably would want to include a second Counter Catcher. And for the possibility of like an extra Boss's Orders, or probably more Janines, to be honest, I have a Palpad in here, although the Palpad might be a little bit overkill. Because to be honest, we probably don't need to use more than 4 Janine throughout a game, or Arven. It'd really just be to recover a boss's orders more so than anything. So maybe this should just be the second counter catcher, to be honest, more than I'm thinking about it. 2 Super Rod. We're a 1 prize deck, so we're going to have to recover our Crobats. I could honestly even see going up to 3 Super Rod in this deck. 2 should probably be enough for what we need. But I could honestly see a third. Just drawing into it more consistently as often as possible to kind of free up our quick search, so we don't have to go quick search for Super Rod constantly would be nice. Possible a Stretcher could be a good inclusion as well. That'd be like something that might be worth including instead of the second Super Rod, or maybe probably instead of the third Super Rod, we want a Stretcher. Just be able to quickly recover the Crobat we want back, or a Zubat, or something like that. I mentioned the Dark Patch already, a little bit of extra energy acceleration. I have the Unfair Stamp in here as the A-Spec. To be honest, I honestly don't know which A-Spec. Unfair Stamp just seemed like the best A-Spec. Like, we're kind of like a comeback deck. It'd be nice to disrupt our opponent aggressively and then hit him with something like an Echoing Madness, maybe. So, yeah, I went with the Unfair Stamp. I don't know if that's the correct one to go with, to be honest. I guess, what else would you go with? Prime Catcher, maybe? Unfair Stamp's probably better than Prime Catcher in a deck like this. Got our Mochis in here. Tool card, like I mentioned. Another thing we can find off Arven, I guess. The Rescue board, and then the 2 Perilous Jungle to increase the poison damage. And then 8 Dark Energy for now. With 2 Super Rod, that probably should be enough to recover to constantly use Janine, but might have to increase the Dark Energy count a little bit to be able to support like Janine turn after turn after turn. We don't have to accelerate 2 energy into play with Janine, but it would be nice to. And definitely for there's going to be some situations that come where it's like we might feel like we're running out of energy and just aren't able to get enough energy in play to consistently attack with our Crobat. So might need to up the Dark Energy count just a little bit, just a hair, possibly. This is definitely one of those decks that's going to need a lot of testing and trial and error to figure out, okay, well, do we even want to play all 3 of these Crobats? I'm not sure. This one seems too good to not play, and this is kind of the point of the deck. So the one I would see cutting, if any, would be the Echoing Madness Crobat. Maybe go for like a 2-2 split of 2 of these and 2 Critical Bite, but currently have the 2-1-1 split in here as well. And then how much damage modifiers do we need, and which ones are most impactful? Do we want Perilous Jungles? Do we want the Radiant Sneasler? Probably want the Radiant Sneasler. I can't think of a different Radiant Pokemon I'd rather play. A couple other utility Pokemon that I'm not running. I'm not running the Manaphy or the Jirachi right now. It's because I just don't know what's going to be popular in the Shrouded Fable meta, but could easily slot Manaphy and Jirachi in here if we felt like they were necessary. We want to include them to protect our bench from Sableyes and Greninjas and stuff like that. So anyways, that's the Crobat deck. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see next from me in terms of these first take videos, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.